Welcome to the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm Terry, and as you can see, I managed to raise the camera. And I think that's about as far as she goes, and I think it'll do. I think that'll be okay. Because we're working today on this very, very large journal. I got this book cover and kind of a kit from Roxy Creations. I know she's always, well, I won't say always, but a lot of the time she's selling books. So go on to her Etsy shop, check it out. We're also going to be using her printables. The ones for document, you know, you can use either one, but I'm using the document kits. That way they are bigger pages. I have my pages figured out and I kind of put them in bundles. I'm going to have 3 signatures and I'm going to have 5 of her document pages in each. And then I found some extra goodies to put into it. But we'll talk more about that later on when we actually put the journal together. We're going to start kind of backwards because of the space issue. So I'm going to go ahead and make the ephemera first. And we're going to get all the ephemera made and then we will put the journal together, which, like I say, is a little backwards from what I usually do. So let me move this so we have more room. And I am going to leave this signature out because I'm going to use it to show you something in just a little bit. So let me take out the page I want. As most of you know, if you've been here from the beginning with the journal making, I usually put an envelope in the center of the signature. Let's see if I can find my envelope. Of course, when you need it, you can't. Okay, so there's the middle of the signature. And in the middle is an envelope. And what it does is it hides the strings. I'm not crazy about strings. Some people like the strings because they like to hang charms. But, you know, I'm not too crazy about them, so I cover them with an envelope. That's my way around that. But this journal, because it is so large, I'm going to do differently. By the way, this is using Medieval Mirage, and it's still in the shop. Journals usually go quick, but this one is still in the shop if you're interested. It's a very Renaissance looking journal made with Medieval Mirage. So go check it out. I will be closing down the shop on Sunday because I will be leaving on Tuesday to go to Wisconsin. But it'll be there. And then when I get back, I'll open the shop again. All right, so in the middle of our journal, I am going to do something that I've done before. I haven't shown you, but I have used this before. And I didn't use it as a centerpiece. I usually use it as one of the pages. And what it is 2 envelopes. I'll leave this one here so you can see it. I take 2 envelopes. Let's see what size they are. That are about 5 3/4 by roughly a little more than 8 1/2. All right, they're large. You can find them at Hobby Lobby. They were part of an invitation. It was a pack of invitations. But they have brown envelopes of varying sizes where you can just get the envelopes. So go check it out. That's where I found these. In fact, I'll show you some that we're going to use for pockets in just a little bit. So what I do is I take 2 of these envelopes and I put them together by sliding one of the tabs. I don't know if that's what these really are, but that's what I'm going to call it. Sliding the tab into the envelope. Excuse me. Excuse me, I've got to figure that out. Folding that over, and then they're together. Okay? And I only glue, you can glue the tab on this side, but you don't really have to. I'm going to glue this tab like that, and it'll stay. And by the time you add things on top of it, it's not going to go anywhere. All right? So let me go ahead and glue this down. As usual, we have this piece of ephemera in varying stages. So let me glue this down. We need, because we have 3 signatures, we're going to need 3 of these. So are you guys making large journals? If so, I'd love to see a picture of your large book cover. I know there are a few of you that said you had large books and you weren't quite sure what to do, so hopefully this will help with some ideas. Because it can be a challenge. I can see where it can be a challenge since it's not the traditional size. It's not the traditional size of kits. That, in fact, you know, even document journaling kits aren't as readily available as the others. So you have to get creative. But that's what we love to do, isn't it? Okay. Got this glued down. Not going to go anywhere. Open it up. And see, you're going to have places to put things. Alright, you can put all kinds of journaling things or, you know, whatever you want to hide in there. Alright, so that's what we start with, and that is going to go in the center of our signatures. Alright, so we'll be putting it, and you know, you could still put an envelope. That's an idea. Maybe I will. You can still put an envelope, or you can have the strings. Whichever way you want it. We'll kind of play with that more when we actually put them in the signatures. All right, so we come to this stage. And what I did was I found, like I said, I printed out several of the document journals. I also had some regular journal size pages that I printed out, and I did that on cardstock so that it'd be a little heftier. And I am going to use those pieces for ephemera. And I decided instead of just putting one whole piece onto the piece of ephemera, I would kind of break it up with some Italian book page. So I found one of my old Italian book pages that would fit, and I kind of folded it over so that it was in a place where I kind of liked the way it looked. And then I am going to take my Uhu and glue this down onto my envelope. All right, make sure you get it covered well. You could use your 3-in-1 if you wanted to, but when you get large areas like this, sometimes it's a little much to try to use the 3-in-1. So a lot of times I will use both. All right, so this I think is covered well enough to bring this page over. Make sure you get it to the crease. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over and get the other side. It's all glued down. See, once again, you're covering that flap with glue. And you're going to bring this over, so that'll help secure it. It's not going to go anywhere. Not going to do anything you don't want it to do. All right. Put that one over. press it down, get any of those air bubbles out. And then we're going to trim this off. Yeah, I got a little glue on there, but we'll cover it up in a minute. I think I'm going to have to get a wipe though and wipe down my mat because it got a little stickier than I wanted. Sticky is not good when you're working with pieces. All right. Put my scraps over here. Find my wipes. Get a couple of them. And wipe down my mat. All right. And my hands, because my hands get plenty sticky. All right, here, let's fan our, let's fan it, make sure it dries. It'll dry quick. Good. All right, now I am going to, what I did is I kind of cut up the journal pages so that there was a picture I liked. I like the flowers. I think I decided, even though there are some birds on some of her stuff, I think I decided it's mainly going to be flowers with birds, but I want the main theme to be flowers. I love flowers. Who doesn't love flowers? We all have our favorite flowers. My favorite flowers would be roses, so I tend to use roses more than anything else. But there are lots of beautiful flowers in the world. All right, so as you see, after I just said there's a lot to glue with the 3-in-1, I'm using my 3-in-1. But I do want this to stay, so let's get it glued down. And what I do is I leave a little of the edge so that you can see the brown envelope. I think, I don't know, I just think that adds something to it. So I leave the edge, glue that down. Knock everything everywhere. Turn this over, and then I found this. Let's make sure it's going the right way for the back. All right, so let's put that on the back. I did make this two-sided in case it was going to be a journal page, but if you know that you're going to be using this on your ephemera, you don't have to do that. That's, you're trying to conserve your ink. You might not want to do that. Concentrating on that gluing. Making sure I have it covered. I just filled the glue bottle, so it's working a little better than it was the last time. Once again, I want to leave a little of that brown edge of my craft envelope. And then what I'll usually do is just kind of ink around it. Make it look a little antique-y. So I'll ink the edge, and the top. Okay. So there's the front. Here's the back. All right, now on this one, I put different pockets. You can do your pockets inside any way you want, and you don't even have to do pockets. But these are the pockets that I used. I basically did a side tuck pocket and then put a little notch in the corner. This one, I made the pockets so that we're going to glue them down on 3 sides. All right, but once again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just thought, hey, more space. We like more space. I don't want to, that's always the challenge. I don't want to make my journal too bulky, but I want to have lots of space, lots of options. So let's glue these pockets down. As you can see, I put notches in them so they know, oh yeah, that's a pocket. All right. And this one down. And you'll see that I basically used the extra pieces from, or the cutoffs, whatever you want to call them. See, and you still have, make sure you're not sticking your flap down, because you want to open that and put stuff in there, all right? But I used the cutoff pieces. Am I a little crooked? I am a little crooked. Yeah, wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Is it still going to come up? It is going to come up. Good. So it's not totally dry. I'm crooked. We do not want to be that crooked. Ah, better. Better, better, better. Get this corner down. All right, so we're going to set this aside to dry, and we should probably set it aside open so we don't get stuck. And I will put this over here, I think. And then show you this, our finished product. I think inside, I'll probably put some Italian paper. Put some Italian paper in there. And then I had, in the kit that she sent, she had some pages that had some beautiful artwork. So I cut that in half and kind of made a little, what looks like a journaling card. You can cover it on the back and have a place to write, or you can leave it just the way it is. And then I also printed out several of her ephemera packs so that I had some journaling cards and postcards to put in here. So I liked that combo right there. And then once again, we will take, let me take this page. This is what one of the pages will look like. I took a document journal and then I hinged it to an Italian page. And isn't that beautiful? This is one of my favorite. Thank you, Rachel, for sending this to me. This was the highlight of my whole pack, was this picture. And I absolutely love it. And I thought it looked great hinged to this page to go in my journal so that I get to keep it. I like that idea. And you'll notice that I did print on both sides. I just used some interesting, she has what she calls a background pack that you can use as backgrounds. It's light enough that you can write on it, and yet it's interesting. I liked it, and I liked it with that picture. So we have that. We're going to pretend this is our signature, center of the signature. And we're going to put our thing in there. So it'll go right in the middle. It'll be sewn in with all the other pages. All right, and like I said, maybe I'll bring my envelope. I did print out several envelopes from her kits. So maybe I will. Maybe I will do an envelope, because you'll still have room to tuck things. We'll play with it. You know, sometimes this journal making can be a grand experiment. If you like experimentation, then this might be the craft for you. Try to figure out what works and what doesn't. So that is our, let's leave that here, center thing. And let me see if I've got any cards to stick in here. I did print out some of the postcards, and then I backed them. I backed them with the rice paper. And I think that color is going to be nice. Yeah, I like that. And maybe we want to put something on the pocket. I cut out a lot of different ephemera that I like from her packs. Once again, we're going with the flower theme. But maybe we have too many flowers. So I don't know if we want to do that. I liked the little bird there. Maybe the little bird. All right, and do we want a blue one or the other red one? Maybe the other red one. I may have to cut him down, though. It looks like he doesn't quite fit. So let's get our chomper and cut just a little off, maybe that side. I used rice paper to back stuff, but I also use rice paper to hinge things. So if you watch Rachel's channel, she shows you how to do that. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we're putting the pages in. Oh yeah, I like that. All right. So we've got our center pockets done. And that's where I'm going to end today. That is the ephemera for today. The next time we get together, I found these tall envelopes. I want to say they called them coin envelopes, I think. Once again, I found them at Hobby Lobby. And I thought they were a great size. Where's my page? Here's my page. So once again, I see there's the straw paper that I used to hinge. But they're a good size. See, they fit nicely. If I get in shot, you can see that. They fit nicely over here. So I think this is the next piece of ephemera, because we are going to use them as pockets / side tucks. And so we'll decorate those, and so you can use those to put things into. All right, so I don't know if we're going to glue them down or hook them in, maybe hook them in with paper clips. Also, with one of the packs of envelopes I had, I think they were wedding invitations. But I thought, now wouldn't that be, and they go this way, that heart goes that way, obviously. I'm thinking, what can we do with that? Certainly we can do something. See, and it folds out. So it's like, wow, what are we going to do with that? by next time, I think I might think of something I can do with that. But until then, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. We are growing, and that means you guys are telling your friends. Thank you, thank you. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and tell more friends. We'd love to have more people come along and play and make our journals. Once again, show me if you are making one of the big journals. Leave a picture so I can see what journal you are working on. I'd love to know what you're doing. Even if you're not making a journal, maybe you're just making this ephemera. Once again, I used these before as journal inserts in a regular size journal and didn't use them in the center. I used them as one of the journaling pages, and once again, places to put things. So, you know, maybe you're going to use this ephemera in another journal. I'd love to see it. Ask any questions. Like I say, if you put your questions in the current video, they're more likely to be answered because it's hard to go back. The more videos I get, the harder it is to go back and look at those comments. So if you have a question, make sure it's in the current video. I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for playing here in the Celtic Craft Studio. And until the next time, let's get crafty.